Today we enter the world of above average. Well, maybe a little bit more than above average. And by the end of this video, we will both agree that the Italians are quite simply the best people to ever exist. So, these 5 supercars and an honorable mention, babe, are among the top 10 things to ever come out of Italy, along with pizza and Parmesan, of course. And before we start, you gotta remember a couple of things. No amount of horsepower is stupid. Every price from here on out is just a number. And let's make sure that you have some tissues handy. Let's go! Wait a second, I can't believe I forgot to change out of my clothes from last night. Oh, baby. Feeling a lot more fresh. So basically, on September 1st, we may or may not be releasing a limited batch of shirts. And maybe a couple more things just for you guys. So all I can say is, I'm stoked. And it looks like you're stoked too. So stay tuned and enjoy the vid. Like its predecessors, the absolutely wild Countach and the devil, Diablo, the Lamborghini Murcielago looks a lot like nothing else. It's beautiful, it's visceral, and those scissor doors are so Italian. And there's absolutely no mistaking that this thing just screams supercar. It's got a V12 engine pushing out 580 horsepower. And with all-wheel drive and a manual 6-speed transmission, this thing barbecues 0 to 60 in just 3.8 seconds. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that is the high note. So, do these supercars go for 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand? Let's find out. Well, buying a used Lamborghini just sounds like a scary proposition, and buying a used V12 Lamborghini, well, that's even scarier. Now, here we go. $129,000 is the cheapest one in the USA, it looks like. You got yellow, you got the scissor doors. Oh my God, look at that thing. I mean, that is straight Italian supercar. I love it. We can all imagine what it would be like if you were tripping over your Ferraris and Lambos in the driveway because, well, they just didn't do it for you anymore. And if you need something bigger and better in every single way than a Lambo or Ferrari to get your heart revving, you may have bigger issues. But if you were to go to a doctor and tell him your symptoms, he would prescribe a Pagani Huayra. If this thing isn't next level, I don't know what is. The craftsmanship is second to none. And with a 6-liter AMG-sourced V12 with not one, but 2 turb skis, 0 to 60 is blitzed in 3.5 seconds. Yeah, and that engine is pushing out 700-ish horsepower. Mama. Well, the engine's a masterpiece. The car is art on wheels. Is it a car or supercar or hypercar? Supercar power, baby. And it's not the first, but second production car that Pagani has ever made. Not that that will help with pricing at all, do you think? It wasn't that easy to locate a Pagani Huayra, but we were able to, boys. $2.242952, well, $1 million. Yeah. Wow. Look at that thing. It is next level. Absolutely beautiful. God, carbon. I love those doors. Let's go on to the next one. This is incredible. This next car holds the 3rd fastest production lap around the Nürburgring. And it's also the 3rd car on this ideal list. Coincidence? I think not. The Huracan Performante is kind of the perfect supercar. Not only does it scream from 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, yeah, what you just heard there was a 630 horsepower V10 hitting the high note. But it will literally outhandle some of the best sports cars in the world. And maybe because it has supercar powers, but supercar, sports car will literally outhandle them. Enough said. How much can you get one of these baddies for? For those of you wondering, the last car, the Pagani Huayra, was of 2015. Now the 2018 Lamborghini Huracan Performantes are just under $300,000 with 1,500 miles on them. But that thing is a thing of beauty. Look at all of that Alcantara, that spoiler. Man, I could totally see myself in one of these when I grow up, but it looks like I may never be growing up. The Ferrari F40 may or may not be the most iconic supercar of the 1980s. And if it wasn't, what would be? The Countach? Either way, it was one of the most important cars that Ferrari has ever built. See, it was the last road-going Ferrari that Enzo signed off on. And many people believe that the F40 is the best Ferrari ever made. Plus, just look at this thing. If this isn't a poster car, I don't know what is. Now, quick history lesson for you folks. The Ferrari F40 evolved from the Group B Ferrari 288 GTO, and two turbos were mated to a 2.9-liter V8, pushing out 478 horsepower. Plus, it's totally an 80s supercar. Just look at those pop-up headlights. Now, my dad tells me, never love something that can't love you back. But how can you not love this masterpiece? There's not one, two, but three F40s on Car Gurus, and only one has a price. It has 7,000 miles for $1.5 million. Of course, there's another Ferrari or three in the background as well. But this thing, look at that analog speedometer. That is so cool. In that rear end, guys, best looking rear end ever? I think yes. Oh, and those wheels. I could look at this listing all day, but we should probably move on. Now, before we get to the last car on this list, God, I am just cheeking about that F40. Right now is the time for the honorable mention, baby. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the most powerful road legal car to ever come out of Italy. Yeah, it's probably worth pondering that for a second. It's a pretty big statement. And that power comes thanks to a 120 kilowatt lithium ion battery pack. Yeah, the Pininfarina Batista produces 1,900 horsepower and 1,696 torques. Torques? Yeah, torques. Torques. That's a good one. Torques. Which can last up to a 300-mile range. Not only is this thing drop dead beautiful, but because of the unique properties of electric cars, 0 to 60 takes less than 2 seconds to complete, all without making a sound. Love them or hate them, electric cars are pretty dang efficient if you ask me. And fortunately or unfortunately are kind of the wave of the future. So love it or hate it, this thing is pretty badass for what it is, of course. There you go, guys. Only 50 of these $2.5 million hypercars are gonna be in North America. And already half the allocations are reserved. That thing is words can't describe how beautiful that is. All right, I gotta move on to the last car of the list. This car is so good that Ferrari named it the Ferrari. Yeah, the Ferrari LaFerrari is easily one of the greatest cars to ever come out of Italy. It's a carbon hypercar that has a 6.3 liter V12 and an electric motor. See, a little half and half. That pushes out 950 horsepower and 663 torques. So, you know, 0 to 60 is faster than typing your passcode into your phone and comes in at, well, 2.6 seconds. And if you see this thing rolling down the road, it kind of looks like a spaceship. In performance, aesthetic appearance, or as I like to call it, curb appeal, this thing is pretty much better than any other Ferrari ever made. So it does kind of make sense why Ferrari would call it LaFerrari, or the Ferrari. Yep, there are a few, 9 of them in fact, for sale here, and this one is in New York for $3.1 million. Red on red. Oh my God, Becky, look at that Ferrari. Eye candy for days, boys. One day, maybe not. Now, if you're like me, you're probably running some not so smart ideas through your head on how to sell a kidney or some organ that you don't need to buy one of these cars. And I strongly urge you against it because I made a video about 7 affordable supercars that you should buy today that you should go check out right now. Or check out what YouTube recommends you watch next. Oh, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. But either way, you can't lose. And as always, keep living that ideal lifestyle.